Hey guys, what's up and welcome to another episode of the GoodCastShow. So this is part 2. We are back with Datuk Vinod Sekhar. You must have enjoyed the first episode. We certainly did. A lot of revelations were actually said on that interview thanks to Datuk Vinod's openness. But today, we're going to take one step further by discussing his relationship with Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, his work and commitment during the Reformasi movement, how he helped the Prime Minister to be the Prime Minister today, as well as certain announcements he wants to make with regards to people who are soon going to be facing the brunt of his wrath. My goodness, I sympathize with them. But also we're going to talk about his charity works and what he has coming next in the third act of his career as a businessman, a philanthropist, and God knows what else. So please welcome Datuk Vinod Sekhar. Datuk, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
How did you like the first one, Datuk? What was your thought about the first episode?
I enjoyed it. I haven't seen it. I'm going to see it. I don't like looking at myself. I actually don't like watching myself on TV. You start looking and saying, oh shit, I get a bit fat. Oh dear, the stomach is showing. Oh God, I should have said that. I should have said this. Why didn't I say that?
Yeah.
You start getting into your little spiral.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's best to avoid it.
Exactly. Dato, in our first episode, we discussed briefly about, not briefly, but that was sort of the landscape about your relationship with Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. We discussed how that could have been one of the reasons why you were targeted by other governments, etc. Now, before we get into your role in his life, I just want to understand why you chose Datuk Seri Anwar. Why believe in his Reformasi movement when a few did?
People don't suddenly emerge as perfect or right or good. You don't have light without darkness. A beautiful picture, photograph has shadows. That's just what it is. And I think Anwar Ibrahim emerged from the darkness that was thrown at him. He was already this reformed Malaysian. I mean, I don't want to say that he changed from his time in university, but he had a specific perspective about the country. And I believe as he became Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister, his perspective changed in terms of what this country is, what all the races represented, and I knew him then. And I appreciated what he represented then. The man he had become, that I saw. Someone that I looked up to. Right?
You said in the previous episode that he was more of a multicultural man, the man who, in that sense,
he's intellectual. He reads everything. This is the thing. This is a real devout Muslim, right? Yes. There is no question about it. Unequivocal. But he also understands there's nothing wrong with being educated about other cultures, about other religions.
Where can you spot that in his policies and his actions today?
Oh, you can see it everywhere. At the end of the day, when you look at him making the kind of changes that need to be made, yes, he addresses the Malay issues, but that's realpolitik. All right? When you have an opposition that only spends time weaponizing race, only spends time weaponizing religion, the government has to be careful. Right? It walks carefully. Because at the end of the day, you haven't explained to the people exactly how your policies are going to work and how it's going to benefit them. And you don't want to suddenly not have that opportunity because you rushed it. And this is the thing a lot of Malaysians must understand. We were broken over 30 years. We were broken by race-based policies of Mahathir, by the segregation in universities, and it is segregation. Let's make no mistake about that. By the total lack of care of the poorest Indians in this country that essentially created the economic basis for Malaysia's growth. The estate workers, the plantation workers, they got nothing, despite being the ones that ensured Mahathir had the money to do the things he did.
But in that government, Anwar was the DPM.
Yes.
And he was the
and
Minister
that's
of
what I'm
Education.
saying. So, there are mistakes. I will tell you the first thing. As far as I'm concerned, he made a lot of mistakes through policies and, etc. The question is, do you learn from your mistakes? Right? I mean, if you don't learn from your mistakes, that's fine. Then, you don't waste. But he actually understood those mistakes he made. But even more so, you got to look at it from this perspective, okay? Here's a man that went through nearly 11 years of jail. His family had to fight to make sure he had at least a slightly bigger mattress, wider mattress, so he could sleep properly. Because of the way he was treated in prison, he had to get multiple surgeries, and he still has a problem with his back and his neck. This is real problems. I mean, these are real medical issues he had that were just poo-pooed by then government. Because he was put into a real jail, struggling. They even would rotate the prison guards because all prison guards are liking him. So they would rotate the prison guards. This, he went through hell. Now think about it. Here's a man that went through hell, and anyone that says that's not hell has no idea what it is to have a tough time, right?
Of course.
Your life is destroyed. Your reputation is destroyed. Your family is just put to such... I mean, who would want your own... I mean, how would you like your family to go through what his family had to go through?
Definitely.
All the accusations, to be ripped away, to have everything ripped away, to have no money, to have no access to anything. And yet, fight. You look at one Aziza. What a remarkable individual. I mean, she's a gold medalist. She's a gold medalist doctor from Ireland. This is a smart lady. But she's one of the kindest, warmest human beings I know. Anyone that knows her, truly knows her, knows that. And yet she fought. While Anwar was in jail, while Anwar went through everything, she was there as the president of Keadilan. Now, you go through all that shit, which Anwar Ibrahim did, right? And I know for a fact that he was offered a way out. Money, position, and all that. Just quit politics. Just quit politics. Because they knew the opposition was getting stronger. They knew that the people were getting tired. They knew that time was coming up. Now, Anwar Ibrahim could have had, at that moment, when they really had everything thrown at him, just sort of said, okay, I might as well be rich as sin, have positions, whatever I want, overseas, here, be whatever I want and just relax. Right?
Definitely, yeah.
But if he had done that, that would be the end of the opposition. He was the glue. People forget. He was the glue that kept everyone together in the opposition.
Yeah.
Right? And he chose to keep fighting. What does that tell you about the man? He chose to keep fighting despite not knowing whether he would win. Simply because he was the glue and he knew he had to keep the opposition going. If not for himself, for the next generation. If not for him to be prime minister, to make sure.
But was his purpose fueled by ambition of the people? Because today, the criticism thrown at him is that his reforms are not being met.
Do you know one leader in the world that is elected popularly and suddenly in the middle of his term, people still love him? People adore him and don't criticize him for everything? When you're in government, it's very different. People criticize you for everything because you can't please everyone. And you know what? You can make promises as opposition without knowing the details of a government until you go in and you realize the mess you're in.
But he was in government. He should have known that.
Then, 25 years.
But is that a fair enough answer to give to the people who think that, look, I voted for you?
No, I would say this. If you voted for him all out, he would be a prime minister who could choose his own cabinet. He could have all the people he wants in all the positions and dictate how things should run. But that's not what happened. He has a cabinet made up of multiple parties with, quite frankly, quite disparate views about the country and how the country should be led. And he has to keep these people together. And he has to be he's got to run this orchestra and ensure the music is still beautiful. This is not easy, right? Everyone is playing a different tune. Everyone wants to play a different tune. You see, you can at least try get an orchestra working properly if everyone understands it's the same song. But when your different players, your trombonist wants to play, Tchaikovsky, and your pianist wants to play, I don't know, Mozart.
Yeah. It's difficult.
It's difficult.
It is difficult.
It's difficult, right? It's difficult. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong. And I'm not saying that he hasn't made mistakes. But I think considering what he inherited to what we have now, he's done a remarkable job. We have the largest FDI in Malaysian history. In Malaysian history.
You have a declining trade surplus, though.
You know what the world is like. You want to check what the rest of the world are doing? I mean, it's all nice and say, oh, we have it. Have a look around us and tell me what's going on there, right? Look, we live in a screwed up, fucked up world right now, okay? We got Donald Trump as president. We've got,
Our tariffs are now 25%.
Tariffs are going up, and, it's a situation that it is, right? But he's managing all this. And people criticize him for traveling. Hello. We are a small country. We're a trading nation. He is our number one marketer. Number one. Who do you want to send instead of him? I'll name some names, but I don't think you'd like them to go. Right? He is the guy that can sell Malaysia. Now, I will make one point. Before he came into power, what was Malaysia known for? Around the world.
What MDB?
That's all they talked about, right? And our big fat Chinese from Penang. Jolo. That's all.
Who's apparently in Shanghai now. Yeah.
Apparently, right? With a new passport and everything else.
Yeah.
And no plastic surgery. Same face.
Same face, yeah. He's a brave man.
Fuck. But you think about it. That's all anyone talked about us. We were this, not investable. Corruption and, instability and all that. Do you even hear it now? You go around the world. I've spoken to my friends around the world, and they're just telling me what a brilliant prime minister we have. Oh, it's amazing. He's your Mandela. I said, we're reforming. He's impressive to the world. And we're a trading nation. What do we compete with? We're traders. We need the world to love us and work with us. Let's get that right. We're no longer the world's largest rubber producers. We have palm oil, but most of our palm oil is in Indonesia as well.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Petroleum, okay, well, a lot of gas is going to Sarawak. I mean, we're traders. That is our business, right? We're a trading nation, and we've got to grow that, which means we need our prime minister to sell us everywhere in the world so that they all come here. And this is a part of a plan. If you look at it, you get the big investments first, then you get the small and medium-sized businesses to come in, using Malaysia as a base for the region. Come to Malaysia. Your $100 million companies, your $500 million companies. Come have your manufacturing here. Use this as a base to get the Indian market, the ASEAN market. I see that happening. That's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. You can't fix, as I told you, what was broken over 30 years in one day, 1 month, 1 year, 2 years. And I dare say, not in his term. But if he can get enough of that runway done, enough of the direction firmed up, it allows the next person to keep going forward. And that's the way we have to look at it. You want to really fix Malaysia? It takes time. It takes patience.
So if Bersih gave him a D, what is your grade for him?
Bersih gave him a D. I wonder what Bersih wants after, if he's not around and whoever else takes over. And then he goes, oh shit, maybe I made a mistake.
Maybe you should have given a B+.
Maybe a B+. I think, look, at the end of the day, I can tell you because I know the man, in terms of wanting to get things done and doing it the right way and getting things for the people, he's A. Because I know what's going through his head. But yeah, results, maybe a B-, maybe a B. But quite frankly, a lot of the world gets an F in our region and everywhere else. It's a tough world. So a B- ain't bad.
But you come from a world of media with Petra Group and all that. You're known for that, especially even in the past. When we see him flip-flopping through things, like for example, the SST hikes that he did, and then after that, he basically removed more items from that list, right? And then he went on that avocado thing and championing avocados and all that, taxing the rich and all that. Do you think his biggest problem is that he doesn't have a team or doesn't have people to sell a narrative that can be sold?
I am not a fan of some of the people around him. All right. He is not, I think, a fan of some of the people around him. I don't know. Government is different. You must understand, right? Government is different from opposition or private sector. There are many things you can do in the opposition, whether it's media, whether it's strategy, whether it's anything else, that is almost impossible to do in government.
Of course.
In government, you're fixed with civil servants, with people that you have, and even to change them is a process. You're just fixed with the people you have. And you can get some of your pulsex, and you can get some outsiders coming in, but at the end of the day, you're fixed with what you have. And he's fixed what he has. And I think one of the biggest problems that the government has to now deal with is communication.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
And we all agree that has to be done. Whether that means Fahmi has to be more involved with PMO communication, I don't know. But something has to happen. Because Anwar is being let down by the communication strategy going out because his position is not being explained, right?
Definitely.
His message is not coming out the way it should to the people. But having said that, whatever the message comes out now and last year will still not satisfy people because we're still fixing, right? And I said this a long time ago. Tunku Abdul Rahman, On Jafar, Tun Razak, Tun Dr. Ismail, built this beautiful house. They called it Malaysia. Stunning house. Incredible, beautiful. Everyone looked at it and says, wow, the hope of the future. Okay. And then, along comes other leaders and they start expanding it. They start modernizing it, more glass, a bit more steel, new carpet, etc. But they don't pay attention to the infrastructure. They don't pay attention to the termites, to the wood that's disintegrating. Every time they see a problem, they put a Band-Aid. They just put a Band-Aid, put a Band-Aid, put a Band-Aid. But they make it look beautiful. They expand it, they make it look beautiful. Until you suddenly realize, shit, the house is crumbling. Now, you have a choice. You can keep staying in the house and keep putting Band-Aid and the house will just collapse on top of you. Or you accept that this house is unfortunately falling. So you come out, bring it down, and you build a new house on those foundations for the current times.
Is that what Anwar is trying to do?
And I think that's what Anwar is trying to do. He's trying to look at the situation. I've got to rebuild this. I've been left with so much crap, so much history, and then I'm facing, weaponized. Don't underestimate that. That is one of the biggest problems. These people on the other side are weaponizing race and religion. Hypocrites. Nonsensical talk of umbrella, payung, whatever it is. Crap.
We can't just blame the opposition for that.
I'm not blaming only the opposition. I'm telling you Anwar was wrong in many cases.
Yeah, because he's not fighting it. He's not fighting at all. His team is not fighting it. His MPs are not fighting it. His Aduns are not fighting it. No one's fighting it. They're just accepting it, lying down and say, okay, shoot me as much as you want.
Okay, they're not. That's unfair. That's very unfair. They are. Just because they're not in the mainstream press.
Which doesn't mean they're not. That's
but the mainstream press is very controlled, right? I mean, let's be very clear, what size mainstream press takes and who are the owners of the mainstream press. Right? Gunaraj George, the Sentosa assemblyman.
Yes.
He came out with a strong position on saying, look, we got to help the Indians. We all have to come together. Doesn't matter what party we're in. Because as a minority, we need to all come together and come up with a plan that we can go to the Prime Minister and say, this is a united plan. We all agree with this, that you have to implement.
Okay.
Now, covered by who? Hardly anyone covered it. No one read about it. So like you say, people take it lying down. No. There are many fighters. There are many people standing up and speaking out. But they're also doing it carefully. Because let's be honest, Vinod, in the current situation, you're talking about, again, I keep saying weaponizing of religion and race. Do you know how dangerous that is?
It's very dangerous, definitely.
All right?
Definitely.
So we, on the other side, also must be careful. Can I come out and say now all the things I think of some of those people talking? Now, I've said it. If you read one of my articles about the hypocrites. But we got to be careful. The MPs have to be careful. It seems, if the police take action against them, they're going to be blamed for something or another. So it seems okay to be Malay supremacists or religious extremists, but it's not okay to attack it. Right? That's a reality. That's a reality currently. And if you attack it, you get idiots like that attacked the KK Mat. Right? Remember the KK Mat bullshit?
Sockskin, yeah.
Right? Because those are fools. Those are idiots. So how do you balance all this out? How do you balance this country that is, I would say, fake fragile?
But if you can say that Anwar is playing politics with some of the things that he does, when, for example, when he first became Prime Minister, I remember one of the biggest issues was him presiding over a conversion ceremony and all that, right? When I was talking...
Okay, wait. Let's be very clear here, okay? Again, I can't speak for this government or Anwar. I can only give you my opinion.
No, fair enough. And
right?
even in my opinion,
it's only an opinion. And
no, I get it. Yeah.
At the end of the day, government is government, prime minister is prime minister,
I get it.
and he will do what is necessary, and that's his. So we can give opinions on what's going on. But if you look at that, just what you just said, the conversion ceremony, what you don't understand was he was just sitting there. Someone just brought someone straight to him, and this adult young man, says, "I want to." I've come here to be converted.
Apparently, it was a wedding. That's
a wedding, and I've come here. But I would love it if you did the prayer. Now, how is that spun?
That's funny.
Anwar convert.
Yeah.
Nonsense. Right? Nonsense. It was just there. It just happened. But he's blamed. But that is the price you pay for power. You can't avoid it. It's going to happen.
Reform in all of this, Dato? Then where is the reform in all of this? If he's doing that,
the reform has to be quiet. Now, let me give you an example, right? Reform comes in the place of the stopping of this constant raids that were nonsensical, right? The number of raids that were there before Anwar Ibrahim was nuts. We should have raids to stop sex trafficking, to stop human trafficking. That's what we should have raids for, to stop all that nonsense that happens. And the police have been doing a great job. They've been raiding. They've been taking care of it. But previously, you'd have all these Kalwat raids, this raid, raid to pub. I mean, it's just nonsense. You remember, before Anwar, it was daily, right?
Yeah.
When was the last time you heard of a raid? Now, these are subtle changes. Why? Because he wants real reform. He wants the police to attack the problem, deal with it. That helps the country. Not frivolous stuff. And it's step by step. So, is Anwar Ibrahim getting there? It's much slower than everyone expected. But I would argue the reason is he's dealing with a unity government made up of again, as I said, very, very different people, right? From very, very different parties. And he has to balance all of them out.
Yeah.
And he has to make sure everyone is happy and giving what they want, or at least less unhappy rather than say happy.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just what he has to deal with. In the middle of all that, he has to make sure Malaysia's image is fixed globally. That people want to invest in this country. Look how remarkable a job he's done. How quickly he's changed Malaysia's image globally. We don't give him credit for that. The value it brings to us. All businessmen in this country. we had more tourism in Malaysia than Thailand. Vinod, think about that. We beat Thailand.
And there's more reason than one to go to Thailand.
Exactly. A lot more than reason one. Okay? And yeah, exactly. So, but we beat them.
Yeah.
That's Anwar Ibrahim. That is unequivocally Anwar Ibrahim. He's changed the confidence of our country on the global stage.
So how does he strike the balance then? The perfect balance between improving our image in
Getting
the foreign
reform done.
And improving his image locally, because that's suffering.
Okay, so honestly, it's tough because there's a price to pay for doing the right thing. Often.
Okay.
In politics and in government, doing the right thing is normally the one that really doesn't get you many friends. Because doing the right thing often involves people having go through a period of suffering. Because change is not easy. Whatever the change. Whether it's, taking away the petrol subsidies.
Which he said he wouldn't.
Yeah, absolutely. But as I said, it's, when you're in opposition, you can say everything you want. Reality hits you when you're in government. Now, should he have said that? Perhaps not. But maybe he said that without understanding how fucked a situation he was going to inherit. Now, the easy thing would have been go ahead, subsidy. Good what? Politics. He's popular. But it fucks the country.
Costs the country, yeah.
Fucks the country. So what do you want him to do?
No, I
protect the country for the long term?
But I want him to communicate his reasoning better.
So therefore, therein what we discussed.
Yeah.
Something has to happen with the communication strategy.
That's the key.
From the PMO.
That's the key.
Right? Because the Prime Minister is doing his job, and the Prime Minister is working his... I don't know a single Prime Minister in our history that works as hard as Anwar Ibrahim. I literally don't know.
Where do you rank him as compared to the others? Say Mahathir, Najib. Where do you rank him among them?
Well, I don't think Najib ranks.
Not even a bit? If you removed one MDB?
No, I think Najib had the potential of being a great Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
A liberal, educated, understood what the country needed to be. He could have. I really do. And I had great hopes. I was hoping. Didn't happen.
Despite him removing your Tan Sri ship, you still had no hard feelings.
It's okay,
It happens.
As I said, Datuk Vinod is fine as well. But, it's at the end of the day, okay, that's a Najib, right? Patla, I love. I think he was a wonderful man. And I think he did real serious reform. Right? The judges, he brought the judiciary back.
Yes.
And freedom of the press, all these freedoms that we have now, that's him. And the release of Anwar Ibrahim. Right? So I think people have underestimated the quality and the value of Abdullah Badawi. To me, he was an amazing man, kind man, and perhaps too kind and nice for Malaysian politics. We wanted a bit of Mahathir in him. And it couldn't exist there. He didn't have the Mahathir in him too. He was just too nice.
Too nice, yeah.
But having said that, in being nice, look at the changes he made. True, he had the biggest loss of seats after winning the largest number of seats. For me, I would look at it this way. Because of his reforms, because he opened up the press, because he allowed the freedom of speech and allowed anyone to say what they wanted to say and move forward, he lost his seats. It was his perestroika, right? So, looking at that event, I would go, Tunku Abdul Rahman, who founded our country, Tun Razak, who started the economic bro, unfortunately died before he could roll it out. Mahathir, he destroyed so much of the Malaysian soul, but he gave us economic growth. But having said that, I still say this, right? we were such a rich, strong country, such an educated country with such an amazing judiciary, such an amazing civil service, such an amazing education system that, you know what? An average prime minister would have done well, right? So, yeah, we had great growth and we got Twin Towers. Big fucking deal.
But at the cost of our soul.
Yeah, I would have rather had my judiciary back, the strength of my independence of my civil service. You know, I would rather all that. I can live without the Twin Towers. I'm just me, but that's just me.
But
right?
again, I mean, even in our previous interview, you are a man of ideals. You have your stances on things. Anwar, despite the reformasi promises and all that, has to now get into bed with people who have checkered past. Datuk Seri Zaid Hamidi is one of them. He's allegation. Of course, he had the DNA and all that. How does that factor into your assessment of him?
Okay. I would say this, and to all my liberal elite friends and all my, you have a choice. You have a unity government of moderates, and as you say, some with checkered pasts, right? I can deal with checkered pasts. And the other option is I have Malay supremacists and religious supremacists.
But isn't that just politics, Dato?
Is it? Do they want their lives dictated? What their daughters can wear and not wear? Which schools your children go to and what you learn? And heaven forbid, segregation of classrooms. Why? Because I'm scared that my son might accidentally touch the lunchbox of his other friend who's not of that same religion. You know, in the 2022 election, you had that choice.
Yeah.
Because they were very clear about what their stance was. I mean, never has there been such clarity in what each side stood for. Right? So you had to pick a side. I picked a side that I felt my country needed. And, unfortunately, there's no perfection. There's no, ideal solution. You can only deal with pragmatic idealism. I told you I'm a functional dreamer. Yes, I'm a dreamer, but I'm a functional dreamer. I'm an idealist, but I'm a pragmatic idealist. Now, people will say, that's not idealism.
Yeah.
But it's very simple. There is a role for people that shout, scream all the time. And it has helped us in Malaysia, right? But at what stage do you just change from shouting and screaming and doing? So we have the two groups, the people that shout and scream, but we must also have those that might scream a little but say, okay, we gotta actually make this work now. We gotta do something. Right? Idealism isn't going to feed my children. Idealism isn't going to do all that. So we must keep our ideals, but we must be pragmatic about how we get there.
But one stark difference between Himpunan Turun Anwar and the protests that have taken place in the past few months, okay, as compared to Bersih, is that during Bersih, you had this unifying spirit of wanting change, this conviction of the people, the electorate wanted change, right? And we were driven by this vision of reformasi. Mm-hmm. The protests now don't have that, right? And also, they are working against a landscape where voters have become disillusioned.
But with them as well.
No, not with them. With politics,
that's what I mean. With them as well, with everyone.
With everyone, but more so, especially after the Sheraton move and all that, it sort of deflated people's that belief that things could change. I see a lot of comments, people saying, whatever we do, things are going to be the same. How should Anwar combat that? Because, just one more thing, sorry, Dato', one more thing. And I say this because it's so important, is that come the next general election, I think that those who abstain from voting are going to be the biggest deciders in who becomes government.
Yes, I agree.
So how does Anwar combat this?
I think, honestly, and I don't know, right? This is just my, again, opinion. Okay. I think Anwar Ibrahim is going to do what is necessary to fix the immediate requirements of this country, right? to ensure its economic stability is there
Okay.
so that the people can feel the benefits. He's going to fix things that are popular and so therefore make him unpopular. But it'll be things that have to be fixed, that we cannot keep going on, you know. But I think in doing that, in his final year and a half of this term, you will then see the Anwar resurging, because people will feel the benefits of the change he's made. People will feel how the changes he's made has suddenly brought about a difference in their lives. And I think that is what Anwar Ibrahim will do. I think that's what Anwar Ibrahim needs to do. But knowing the man, I think that's what he will do. Because I'm his friend. So I can only say that this is a good man. This is a very good man that really, really loves his country. That believes Malaysia's multiracial, multi-religious, multicultural position must not just be maintained, must be strengthened.
Is he a Malay first?
No. He's a human first. Malay is what he is. You see, this is the idiocy of people when they say, "Are you your religion first? Are you I'm an Indian, right? What do you want me to say? I'm an Indian. First or last, I'm a fucking Indian. Makes no difference. I'm an Indian."
But then when a leader says it has
well,
meaning,
that's why, you know, why did Muhyiddin kept flip-flopping?
Because now he's realized PN needs the non-Malays.
Exactly.
So finally he's decided
you know,
to shift.
Anwar, this is what people forget. At no stage during the elections, in the last few elections, right? Even in opposition, when it benefited him to play the Malay card, he didn't play it once. Not once. He would go to temples. He would go everywhere. He would talk openly. He would openly fight and say, this country is for all. But 84%, 80% of the hardcore poor in this country are still Malays. That's a fact.
That's a fact. I've seen it myself.
Do you think it's not the Prime Minister of Malaysia? Don't you think he has to stand up and say, I have to take care of that? You can't have a situation where the majority of this nation is the most poor, that represents the largest number of poorest in this nation.
Yeah.
That's a recipe for disaster. In any country, if you did that. So, him trying to fix that is important. Him being Malay or Indian or Chinese would make no difference. If it was a Malaysian Indian Prime Minister, which is possible one day, right? Our constitution allows it. If the majority of Malays feel that they're comfortable and they're secure, now they just want the best person, and that best person happens to be a Malaysian Indian. They'll have no issues voting Malaysian Indian. But in the current situation, the Malaysian Indian would have to deal and take care of the issue that over 80% of the hardcore poor in this country are Malays.
Interesting you bring that up, Dato', because that's another point where he wasn't right when he said that he had eradicated hardcore poverty in certain sections, but many NGOs opposed to him, saying that no, that wasn't.
Okay. This is where, again, advise calculations as to what you're going to do. Define what hardcore poor is. And we have had different definitions of hardcore poverty. Because hardcore poor and what is hardcore poverty, the poverty levels are different, are very different.
Yeah.
So it's semantics, right? Tomato.
But I've seen the homeless in KL. So I've seen the urban poor.
And a lot of the homeless are refugees and immigrants.
No, Dato'. 60%
it is.
are Malaysians.
But no, it is. A lot of them are. Okay? But you're right. We have now had, like in most countries, when there is insecurity in the rural heartland, they all come to the city center for a job, for income, for whatever, right?
Yeah.
And suddenly realize it's difficult and they become homeless. These are Malaysians. No question about it. Something has to be done, right? Something has to be done. But when the Prime Minister speaks, he speaks in economic terms of what hardcore poverty is, etc. So forgive him for that. You know, do you think he doesn't realize that there's a problem? Of course he does. You know, but when he says he's eradicated hardcore poverty in this area and that area, he means it in terms of what the economic numbers are showing. Okay. Again, maybe not communicated
well enough,
as well as it should have been.
Yeah.
But that's what he means. I mean, we can nitpick all we want. But that's why I'm saying, this is a good man trying to do the right thing. But you're absolutely right. We are going to launch what are called the Shaker Centers, where I'm going to set up centers for the hardcore poor of any race. From a soup kitchen to social services to legal services, so that there is a backup for people that don't have a backup. People that lose their homes because they don't know any better, that they don't know their rights, and the banks just take it. They should have legal rights. They should have someone advising them. People that don't realize that they have all sorts of benefits they can go to the government for, to pay for their children's meals, to all sorts of things. So there should be a social service person that can advise them on how to do it. So we're going to do the center for that. And I'm going to do it in different areas, from Batu, the Batu Parliamentary constituency to many others that I feel the need is. And this brings me to my next point.